Hey guys, welcome back to TTMR. Today we will be reviewing Mortal Kombat 2, directed by Simon McQuoid, who is best known for his directorial work on Mortal Kombat 2021.
Mortal Kombat 2 is a direct sequel to 2021's Mortal Kombat that outlined everything before the Mortal Kombat tournament, now showing us the tournament itself as we see our fighters engage in battle to resist the takeover of Outworld by Shao Kahn. This time around, we get to see the fighters introduced in the first engage in thrilling one-on-one brawls alongside new spotlighted powerhouse additions of Kitana and Johnny Cage through their own prominent roles.
Alright, we will be getting into spoilers in this next section, so if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want anything spoiled, skip to this timestamp. Right out the gate, Mortal Kombat does not disappoint when it comes to the fight choreography. Sean and I were absolutely blown away by how well the first movie did the fight sequences, but the sequel really kicks it into high gear. Since this movie hits the ground running where the last one left off, we practically get straight into the action with the start of the tournament. However, not before we get a backstory for one of our lead characters, Kitana, played by the amazing Adeline Rudolph. There's some decent action within this section of the film, but it's ultimately used to simply set up Kitana and give her a reason to change. There are a few really standout action sequences within this film, one of which being the final battle in Netherrealm with Scorpion just kicking ass. The choreography is absolutely breathtaking in my opinion. The camera following him and spinning as he runs up walls and does these incredibly acrobatic moves, it's just perfect. I think another one of my absolute favorite fights has to be Johnny Cage vs. Kitana. This fight just had the sauce visually, and both actors are doing a phenomenal job in their respective roles. I've always loved Kitana as a character in the franchise, and I really feel like this movie did not only her combat prowess justice, but also her story, motivations, and ultimately, her change. All of which I feel were earned and make logical and rational sense. The way they utilize her Tessin, the steel fans, is also just so awesome to see. Being a very bizarre yet fantastical weapon, bounces really well off of Johnny and his greenness to the environment. The camera never stops moving during these fight scenes. The weight of each strike is felt through the spectacular visuals and camera work, and, of course, I adore how they aren't scared to really lean into every character's unique moveset and abilities. In the latter part of the second act, we see Liu Kang face off with Shao Kahn. In this fight scene, Liu Kang literally creates twin dragons out of his flames. Are you fucking kidding me? That is the coolest shit I have ever seen. And when he gets on top of Shao Kahn and blasts the fire straight into his face, it's just so incredible. The action within this movie is never dull. It keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time because, in Mortal Kombat, absolutely nobody is safe. The last things I really want to touch upon in this section have to be the way they lead this movie off to set up the third, and just how stunning the visuals and sets are. Every location is just breathtaking and really immerses the watcher in the scene. And I just love that final shot of the group walking towards the camera, and I'm extremely intrigued to see how they will bring their friends back in the third.
Oh yeah, this was a good one. A lot of what I loved about the first one, not being like the deepest thing in the world necessarily, but a ton of fun to watch because of the humor, characters, and of course, fighting, was featured strongly again here. Of course, one of the big new additions to this movie character-wise was Karl Urban's Johnny Cage, which I thought really complemented the rest of the film very well. Urban definitely had a great performance in being able to sell both the comedic and more character-driven parts of the character, which allowed him to be a very memorable addition to the movie, like when he fought Baraka and was just pissing him off before locking in, punching him in the balls, and Baraka exclaiming it to be the greatest fighting he'd ever seen. I really think the only drawback I can think of is that Cage didn't really look like how he does in the games, but by all standards, that's a relatively small complaint. While of course a lot of great humor came from Johnny Cage, we of course also saw the return of Kano, which certainly did not disappoint either. On top of everything, the pacing was absolutely a strong spot in this movie, as neither Max and I really ever felt bored or thought things were moving too fast. Though the beginning of the film was a little quick to get things started in comparison to the first, where we were more so eased in with the attack of Sub-Zero on Scorpion's family. As a sequel, I think it does a lot of things right, though I do have some gripes. For sure, being able to create the climactic environment through the tournament and all the drama around it really did live up to the hype it was given through the build-up in the first. It did this by first adding a lot of immediate weight to the tournament by having Shao Kahn kill off Cole very early on in the movie, which really showed us just how brutal this was going to be and that the film wasn't going to pull any punches. At the the same time, however, considering how Cole was practically the main character in the first movie, it was really disappointing seeing him be killed not only just so early, but so abruptly. While it did a great job at providing a ton of shock value and making us both freak out in the theater, it really felt underwhelming to see all of the trials and tribulations he went through in the first to unlock his arcana, only to hardly use them in the second, or for that matter, influence much of the plot at all. Beyond that though, I did generally find the movie a very satisfying sequel by giving a lot of the characters from the first a lot of time to shine, as well as the other new core additions of Johnny Cage and Katana. What I'll ultimately remember this movie for is a lot of what I enjoyed about the first. It's not gonna change your life or anything, but it was a ton of fun to go out and see and enjoy.
Okay, so what's the best and worst thing that Mortal Kombat 2 does? I think the best thing that this movie has to offer would definitely be the action. As I said previously, this movie just has you gripping your seat in anticipation of every single fight. Now, for the worst, while yes, I did praise the visuals and sets, they didn't look spectacular the whole time. There is a fair amount of very noticeable green screening, and it really did take me out of some scenes, some of which were meant to be crucial to the plot and character development. While not nearly as bad as it could be, this is still a flaw that stood out to me and something that actively affected my viewing.
I think it's pretty clear based on what we've said so far that this movie did not disappoint. I gave this film a 7 out of 10 and Max gave this film an 8 out of 10 for an average score of 75%. Like the first, we found ourselves having a ton of fun with this one and absolutely did not regret it.
So, the verdict. If you love a high-stakes, action-packed journey full of laughs, spectacular characters, and overall great storytelling, Mortal Kombat is definitely for you.
So with that being said, that has been a review of Mortal Kombat 2. Remember that this is just our opinion, so you don't necessarily have to believe everything that is said here. Come back soon for more reviews or browse through existing ones on the channel.
We hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and if you enjoyed, you could like or subscribe to help us out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.